Hi everyone, welcome back to Sadak, the Achievers. So all of you, as we know that we are in the first chapter of chemistry, that is atomic structure, right? So in this first chapter, now we are going to start the lecture number 5. So in the previous lectures, we have completed subatomic particles, right? And we have started these atomic models, right? The atomics model lo manam Thomson model discuss chesam, Rutherford model discuss chesam, right? And dan tarvata Bohr model discussion kante mundu, what are the main important scientific development which helped Mr. Bohr to complete his atomic model, right? So in that we have discussed the two major scientific developments. What are those two? First one is the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation, and the second one is the atomic spectra, right? So in the third lecture we have completed the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation, and in the fourth lecture we have completed the atomic spectra part, and in that we have discussed the what are the different types of spectra are formed by the atom, and especially we have also discussed the atomic spectra of the atom which is of hydrogen gas, right? So that part that we have completed in the previous lecture. So whoever not completed this lecture number 4, they can come go to the cards. There will be finding the link for this lecture number 4, okay, and you can continue with this chapter. So let's continue with the chapter lecture number 5, which deals with the Bohr's atomic model, which is Bohr's atomic model. So if you can see that the scientist Bohr, right, the scientist name Niels Bohr. So in the year 1913, he proposed the model of an atom of exactly, if you can speak that, he proposed a model of a hydrogen atom. Okay, so what is that? This model is the upgraded version of the Rutherford model. Means whatever the drawbacks of the Rutherford atomic model was there, right? So those drawbacks were able to explain by this Rutherford model, this Bohr's model here. Okay, so this Bohr's model was able to explain how the atom is able to be in a stable position. Stability of the atom has been explained by this Rutherford model, and how the atomic spectra, so the stability as well as the atomic spectra of the atom was able to explain by this. So atomic spectra. So with the help of atomic spectra, how the atom is behaving, how the hydrogen atom is behaving, and how the spectrum is formed, and what are the energies, and how the atom is being able to be stable, right? Even though the atom is having different energies in it, right? So let us see what are the postulates of this hydrogen atoms, Bohr's model of hydrogen atom. Okay, first one, that is nothing but the atoms. Okay, first one is the electrons of the atom, right? They are revolving around the nucleus in a circular path. So the electrons, so the first one is the electrons. Okay, so these electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the circular path. In the circular paths. Okay, so these circular paths are called as the orbits. These are called as the orbits. Why we are calling it as the orbits? Because these circular paths have the definite paths. These circular paths are the definite paths. Means definite path. So these orbits are nothing but the circular paths have the stable state, or we say the ground state, the stable state of motion. So the path followed by that electron is in a stable state, or we say the path has another name, that is nothing but the allowed energy state. Allowed energy state. So in these two states, the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a circular path. So those are named as the orbits. Those are named as the orbits. Means simply we can say electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the orbit. Okay. So, and these orbits, right? These orbits are, okay, important one. These orbits are concentric about the nucleus. We know that there are so many orbits, not just orbit, there are orbits, means there are circular paths. These all the paths, right? All the paths have the same center. Concentric means have the same center, and that center is nothing but the nucleus. So this is the first postulate of this Bohr's model. Okay. So next one is, what is the orbital energy in this case? Okay. So the orbital energy, that is nothing but the orbital energy of this. So whatever the path that the electrons are rotating, that energy is in a stable, or we say the energy does not change. Energy does not change. So if you have taken one orbit, right? So the orbit has the same energy. So there is no loss of energy by that path. So the orbital energy is not changing, doesn't change at all. The orbital energy is not changing at all. Only the electrons in that orbit, electrons will move, okay, the electrons will move from the higher energy level to the lower energy level, or the lower energy level to the higher energy level. Means these electrons will move from one energy level to the another energy level. One energy level to another energy level. Or suppose I can say that from higher energy level to lower energy level, or we can say that from lower energy level to higher energy level. So depending on the higher energy level, right? So depending on the movement of these electrons only, right, the energy is not changing in the orbit, but the electrons will change. Okay, electrons will change here. So we know that whenever there is a change in the electrons of the atom, right, there is a movement of the electrons of the atom, there will be change in the energy, or the, we say, emission of the energy and the absorption of the energy, right? So the line spectrum that we have discussed in the previous lecture, we said that whenever the radiation, right, we said that radiation, right, radiation will be released when a radiation is absorbed by the atom. So whatever the atom that we have, in that electrons will be absorbing this radiation and they will be forming the spectrums, right? So in this case, if you take that higher energy level to lower energy level, which means the energy will be emitted. The energy will be limited. Or if from lower level to the higher energy level, what happens? Means they acquire the energy. Means absorb the energy. Okay? Okay here? So this is how the energy is changing. But this change of energy is not continuous. Important point. Okay? The change of energy is not continuous. Remember this important point. This is not continuous. Means the higher level to lower level and the lower level to higher level change of this energy will not, it is not continuous. If it is continuous, then we would have got the continuous spectrum, right, that we have discussed in the previous lecture, right? So it is not continuous change. That is important postulate that is given by the Bohr. Okay, so that is a second postulate. Next, third postulate, change in orbital energy. Means now just now we understood that orbital energy is not changing, but the electrons will be moving. Each and every orbital will have the fixed energy. Okay, remember that. So the electrons will only move and they will carry the energy and they will release the energy and they absorb the energy. Okay, so ikkada orbital energy is changing. Okay, orbital energy is changing, but the whole energy in each and every orbital is not changing. Right. Next is change in orbital energy. Next is change in orbital energy. Just now we have discussed the orbital energy is not changing, just the electrons are moving and they are carrying the electrons from one energy level to the another energy level. So here this orbital energy means how the energy is changing from one orbital to the another orbital. Just now we have discussed that higher to the lower, right, and lower to the higher. So in both the cases, energy will be changing, right? So how that energy is changed? So that energy will be changing, right? That is indicated by the delta E, change in energy. Okay, and this delta E, right, is the change in energy. Right, we already know that E is equals to H into V, right, where V is our frequency, right, and H is Planck's constant, no, and E is our energy. Okay, so this is about the Planck's energy equation that we have. So if you just apply that Planck's energy equation to here, that will be our delta E will be written as H into V, that is frequency. Now, so if you can just change it into the form of frequency. So what is that? So delta E, change in energy by the Planck's constant, right? So just now we discussed that the energy is, right, the electrons are changing from one orbital to the another orbital, like higher to the lower or lower to the higher. Then what happens if you just apply this here? V is equals to delta E by H, right? So delta E means, if I say that the energy of the initial energy level or initial orbital, let us say energy of initial orbital. So E1 is nothing but the energy of initial orbital, right, and EF is nothing but the energy of final orbital, means in which orbital the atoms are settling from the initial orbital, original orbital, after that they in which orbital they are forming, right? So if you just assume these two, then change in energy means initially in which orbital are there? EI, right, minus EF. So that is divided by H, right? So this formula of the frequency, right, given by the Bohr is called as the Bohr's frequency rule. Bohr's frequency rule. Okay, so this is called as the Bohr's frequency rule. So the change in orbital energy in the delta E means initial orbital, from initial orbital into final orbital, how the energy is changing, that by the frequency we can find out how frequent the electrons are moving, what is the speed of that electron, depending on that change in energy, then we can frequency can be easily found out by the energies, because you already know the Planck's constant here. Okay, so this is about the change in orbital energy, right? So next is the electron orbital momentum, means how the orbitals have the momentum. Electrons are moving from one energy level to the another energy level, right? So how these orbitals are rotating, like we know that electrons are rotating in the orbits, yes or no? So how the momentum is there? Like we know that the linear momentum is what? Linear momentum, that is mass into velocity, right? And the angular momentum is I into gamma, right? So these are the angular momentum. So these electrons are the orbitals. These electrons here moving in the orbitals which are in circular, right? Circular paths. So these circular paths have the angular momentum only, right? So we know that electrons are moving in this circular path. So let us find the angular momentum of this orbital. So what are the objects that are moving in the orbital? Electrons are moving. Avuna? Electrons move avutunnayi kada. So let us take the properties of these electrons. So mass here, what is the mass? Mass is nothing but the mass of electron, and the velocity is v, the velocity of the electron, right? And the angular momentum I, we know that angular momentum, this I is nothing but the, what is the I value? I value is me by this r square, mr square. R is what? The radius in which, if this is our atom or the orbit moving, this is our nucleus. So what is this radius? So that is r, right? So this is r. So that is I value. Now by using that, what is omega? Omega is, how much is omega? V by r. So v is what here? The velocity. R is the radius. So now if you can come to this angular momentum, so what is that? I is m e into r square divided by how much? Multiplied by v by r, right? So this r and this square will get cancelled. So we will be left with, what is that? M E R V, or simply we can write that M V R, right? So that is our angular momentum here. So this angular momentum, okay, so if you just calculate that angular momentum here, okay, so if you can just compare it to the other experimental result, the Bohr explained that this MVR is equals to N into H by 2 pi. Okay, he said that N into H into 2 pi, which means, so this angular momentum, okay, so this angular momentum is fixed, which means he said that where N is equals to 1, 2, 3, so on. Okay, so by this rule, the angular momentum of an electron which is revolving in an orbit is following a fixed path. So the electrons, or the, we say the orbits have fixed paths. What is that? So this expression explains us that each and every electron will only change their path or follow the path of the orbits, right, which are the integral multiple of h by 2 pi. So the orbits are following the paths, right, which are integral multiples of h by 2 pi, which means each and every orbit have the same path. They are following the fixed path, right? The electrons will only change from the integral multiples of the h by 2 pi, h by 2 pi energy levels, right? Means the angular momentum is nothing but the momentum of that angle in which the electrons are rotating, that will have the, so this, if we say this is our first orbit, so it will have 1 into h by 2 pi, okay, and the second orbit have the angular momentum, which is second orbit, let us say that, so that will be how much, 2 into h by 2 pi, and it will be 1 into h by 2 pi. So like this, the angular momentum of these orbitals will be having, and that's why we can say that electrons are revolving in a fixed path, right? These are the orbits are the fixed path and have the fixed energy levels, okay? That's why we said in the first postulate that energy of the orbitals is not changing, it doesn't change, okay? So these are the postulates of the Bohr's model of hydrogen atom. Next, we have derivation from this Bohr's model. Means just now we have discussed the what are the postulates given by the Bohr, right? So now we'll discuss what are the derivations, means what we have concluded, what we have derived from the postulates of Bohr. Let us see that one by one. So, okay. So let us see what are the derivations that we have got from the Bohr's model. First one is the stationary states. So we have named these stationary states, okay. The stationary states have been named, okay, has been named here. So stationary states are nothing but the, what are the stationary states? These are nothing but the energy levels or the orbits that we can call them also, right? These are being named, right, as n is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, okay. So the stationary states have been named as 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So this n value, or we say these numbers, are nothing but the principal quantum numbers. These are called as the principal quantum number. What is this principal quantum number? Nothing but, principal is main, that is nothing but a stationary state. Quantum means the quantity of energy, right, that indicated by this number. Quantum means what? Like I have explained in the previous lectures. Quantum means nothing but the energy, magnitude of that energy, which is used the word quantum, right? That is by the Planck's quantum theory that we have discussed. So this n indicates the principal quantum number of this Bohr model, right? And next, okay, so next one is radii. So radii of what? Radii, the stationary states, right? This stationary states radii or the orbital radii. So this is given by Rn is equals to how much? Rn is equals to a naught into n square. A naught into n square, okay, where this a naught is nothing but, this a naught is nothing but 52.9, that to the units of picometers, right? You know the picometer unit. What is the picometer unit? 1 picometer, right, is equals to 10 to the power of minus 12 meters, right? So this a naught, right, if we can say, write it in the form of this, so Rn is equals to 52.9 into, what is this? N square. So R1, why that 1? Because of the hydrogen is the 1 principal quantum number. Hydrogen has the 1 principal quantum number. So if you can just substitute by the Bohr's postulates, 52.9 picometers, because 1 square is same again, that will be 1 only. So this radius, okay, this radius is called as the Bohr's radius, right? Or we say Bohr's orbit, Bohr's orbital radius, Bohr's radius. Okay, so this is about the radii of the stationary states. Next we have the energy. So how the energy is changing, or what is the energy of this atom? So if you can just see that the energy that we have discussed is changing from the higher level to the lower, higher to the lower, or lower to the higher. అవునా? ఎనర్జీ అనేది ఎప్పుడైనా ఈ టూ వేస్లో చేంజ్ అవ్వచ్చు. ఫర్ సపోజ్ ఓకే, సీ హియర్, సో దిస్ ఈజ్ మై న్యూక్లియస్. అవునా? సో ఇప్పుడు ఈ న్యూక్లియస్లో పాజిటివ్ ఛార్జ్ ఉంటుందా? అవునా, పాజిటివ్ ఛార్జ్ ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, సో వీ నో దాట్ if this positive charge is applying force on the nucleus, electrons revolving around the nucleus, then only the atom is, the electrons are able to move in a speed and they are able to be in a stable condition. And we already know that the nucleus has the positive charge, right? And the orbits are the negative charge. So positive charge is nothing but the protons. Avuna? These protons are only deciding the negative charge particle, that is electrons. Which means how many protons are there, means how much positive charge is there. Depending on that, the negative charge will be decided. So what is the energy of this positive charge? That will only give us the, or that will only decide how the electrons or the negative charge should be revolving around this nucleus. So we know that energy అనేది, if it all the energy applied by this nucleus becomes zero on the whatever the positive charge applied on the orbits, right, becomes zero, then that point or that orbit, right, that principal quantum number of that orbit will become infinity. So at infinity, the n value will be n value, at n value of infinity, the charge here, what we can say, the positive charge effect or the effect of the nucleus will be zero. The effect of the nucleus will be zero, means the energy will be zero. So ఇక్కడ పాజిటివ్ ఛార్జ్ ఉంది, ఆ న్యూక్లియస్ అనేది ఈ, let us suppose this is at infinity, right? The yellow line that I have drawn, that is at infinity. సో ఇక్కడ జీరో ఛార్జ్ ఉంది కదా. సో ఏమవుతుంది, ఈచ్ ఎనర్జీ ఆఫ్ దిస్ ఆర్బిటాల్స్, వెనెవర్ ఇఫ్ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ హియర్ నో ఛార్జ్, రైట్? సో ఇఫ్ దే ఆర్ కమింగ్ ఇన్సైడ్ into this red orbit, what happens? Here is zero, so this charge will become negative, means the positive charge is applied onto these electrons, right? And again further, if these electrons are coming to this part, again the energy will decrease, and if at all again it's coming, the energy will decrease, and again these electrons will come, energy will decrease, and lastly we can say that, just understand the number line that we have in integers, right? Zero, positive values and the negative values. So if the electrons are beyond this n equals to infinity, we cannot have the electrons as a positive charge, right? Electrons as a positive charge, for suppose. So whatever the energy possessed by this orbit, that will be negative. Why? Because that depends on the energy in the infinity ప్రిన్సిపల్ క్వాంటమ్ నంబర్ n. సో ఎనర్జీ అనేది ఏమవుతుంది, ఇక్కడ జీరో ఉంది కదా, సో దాని తర్వాత ఈ పాజిటివ్ ఛార్జ్, దట్ ఈస్ అ న్యూక్లియస్, దాన్ని లాగుతుంది తన సైడ్. సో లాగడం వల్ల ఏమవుతుంది, దిస్ ఎనర్జీ విల్ హ్యావ్ ది నెగిటివ్ సైన్, దట్స్ ఇట్. మీన్స్ హౌ మచ్ positive charge is pulling that negative charge towards it. Depending on that, so as this energy from zero, it is coming into this direction, that's why it has the negative sign. It has the negative sign. That is important thing that you have to remember. Okay, so this is how the charge. So what happens, as the electrons are moving closer and closer into that orbit, we can say that two important points. First one, what we said, the energy, right, whatever the nucleus that we have, right, this nucleus attracts these electrons towards itself, so that the charge will be, right, the charge or the energy in the orbitals will be what? The orbitals will decrease. Orbitals will decrease. Okay, means as the nucleus charge is increasing, right, the orbital will decrease. Okay, and this positive charge is pulling that electrons towards itself. So as the charge is increasing, what happens? We say that the electrons or the radius will decrease, right? So the nucleus charge is increasing, for suppose again. Nucleus charge is decreasing. What happens? The radius will be decreasing. Radius will be decreasing of that atom. Okay, so we can conclude that the energy, right, of these electrons, protons, and all of these, right, what happens? The positive energy, or simply the nucleus, right, makes that atoms or the orbits or the electrons are bound by the nucleus. Electrons are closely bound by the nucleus. So we can say that electrons are closely bound by the nucleus. So as we said that zero energy unna ఆర్బిటాల్ లెవెల్ నుంచి ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ని న్యూట్రాన్స్ న్యూక్లియస్ ఏం చేస్తుంది, లాగేస్తుంది. సో అది లాగుతున్న కొద్దీ ఏమవుతుంది, ద నెగిటివ్ ఛార్జ్ ఈజ్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్, సో దట్ దిస్ న్యూక్లియస్ ఈజ్ అప్లయింగ్ సో మచ్ ఫోర్స్, రైట్, పాజిటివ్ ఫోర్స్. దిస్ ఈజ్ నెగిటివ్ ఫోర్స్, మీన్స్ ఛార్జ్ ఈజ్ డిక్రీజింగ్ నా. That is what I said, charge is decreasing. As charge decreases, negative charge or the orbital charge decreases, what happens? This nucleus will apply more force onto this charge, and that radius will decrease, which means the electrons are closely bounded to the nucleus. Means chala దగ్గరగా వచ్చేస్తాయి అన్నమాట electrons అనేవి, because of the nucleus positive charge. Okay, so this is how the energy will be changing in the atom, that is by the Bohr's model. Okay, so this energy, what is the quantity of the energy that each and every orbital is having? So that is given by the energy of nth orbital, or the nth Planck's constant number, that we say the principal quantum number, En is equals to minus AH into, that is the energy of constant number of hydrogen, that is into 1 by n square. Okay, so this is about the energy of the orbital, right, where the value AH, is equals to 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18 joules, right. AH is having negative. Why? Because of this reason that I have explained already. Okay, so this is the AH value here. So this formula is for the energy of a orbital. So 1 by n square. N is nothing but the principal quantum number that we have discussed. So here n is equals to principal quantum number. Okay, so this is about the energy part. So this Bohr's model, right, the Bohr's model is applicable to the other elements of ions, only the ions of other elements which acts like the hydrogen atom. Okay, which acts like the hydrogen, means only the ions of other elements will be explained by this Bohr's model. So these other elements or ions of other elements are -1, +1, sorry, and helium. After helium, lithium is +2, and beryllium +3, so on. So like this, these ions, okay, these ions will act as the elements or say the hydrogen atom. So these are acting as the hydrogen atom because of that hydrogen atom. Okay, so only the ions of the other elements which are in this state, which has only one energy level, or we say what is that? Electron. Simply we can say the electron, only single one electron. Okay, so those will be acting like this. So how do we find the energies of these electrons here, or these elements which are other than the hydrogens? So we have the formula, that is energy En equals to, so that is -2.18 into 10 to the power of -18, right, into 1 by n square. Avuna? So ikkada 1, if you can see that this is the energy level of the hydrogen atom. So energy in the first level of the hydrogen atom, which means we can write that 1 here, that's why n square. N is the principal quantum number of first stage here. Okay, so for this ions, right, that will be written as En of -2.18 into 10 to the power of -18 into Z square by n square. Okay, joules here, same. So this is of the for this ions. Okay, so this is how the formula will be changing for the ions, where this Z is nothing but the atomic number. Okay, and n is nothing, again the principal quantum number. And what about the radii? Radii of this ions, so that is nothing but radii Rn will become, we know that 52.9 into, what is that, n square is our radii. So to that, just divided by the Z, so that will be our radius of these ions, where Z is again the same, that is our atomic number. So this is what the radius, and this is what the energy of these ions. So now here this En, okay, this energy En, as Z increases, okay, as Z increases means atomic number increases, what happens? This En or the energy will also increase as Z increases, right? And what about this radii? Radii will, that is Rn, will decrease as Z increases. So that is another relation that you have to remember here. Okay, so that is one. Okay, and next derivation. So derivations from the Bohr's model, another is velocity. So this velocity of the electrons can easily calculated by that. So the electrons velocity can also be calculated by using the Bohr's model or the Bohr's postulates, right? So the calculation part is little complex one. So just assume that calculation, by those calculations we have got the two important aspects of the velocity, that is nothing but, that is the magnitude of this velocity, right? So this, how this magnitude of velocity will change? So this magnitude of velocity increases of this electrons velocity, magnitude of velocity increases when there is a, what happens when there is a increase in the, okay, when there is increase in the positive charge of nucleus. What happens that we know, when the positive charge is having more energy, right, to pull that electrons towards itself, what happens? The electrons will try to revolve with more speed, right? That is what the positive charge increases, because the velocity of magnitude of velocity will also increase. And when the atomic number increases, when the atomic number Z increases, that is atomic number. When the atomic number increases, what happens? This magnitude of velocity will decrease. Remember like that, because what happens? Atomic number increasing means more orbitals will be there, means the effect of the magnitude of this positive charge, that is nothing but the nucleus, will be less on this electrons. So what happens? The electrons will revolve with less speed, so that will ultimately result into the decrease in the magnitude of velocity. Okay, so this is about the derivations of velocity, right, from the Bohr's model. Now coming to the line spectra of hydrogen. So here, energy gap. So how the energy gap means, what is the change in the energies of particular levels? Like we have the higher energy level to the lower energy level, or vice versa, right? So here what happens? The higher energy level to the lower energy level. See, if you can understand that the energies are changing, right? Initial to the final levels. So let us say that we already know the energy formula, E is equals to H into V. And by the second postulate of the Bohr's model, En is equals to minus AH into 1 by n square. So if you just try to find out the energy gap here, that is nothing but the change in energy, delta E, that is the initial final energy minus the initial energy of that atom. So if you try to apply this to here, okay, and write the formula here, what is that? We know, let us say the Ni is initial level and Nf is the final level. Okay, so what happens to this? So just apply these parts in this Ef and Ei. So here if I can write the Ef, so Ef means minus Ah, let us write the RH, right, into 1 by Nf square. So here Ei will be what? Minus RH into 1 by Ni whole square. Now write those two parts here. Ef is what? Minus RH divided by Nf square minus of, here minus RH divided by Ni square. Now ఇప్పుడు దీంట్లో RH కామన్ ఉంది కదా, and minus and plus. So this will become plus into minus minus, this will become minus into minus plus. So just what I am doing, I am writing the RH outside here, right, reversing this. RH I am taking as common, so this is plus 1 by Ni square, 1 by Ni square minus this RH has taken out already, so that will be 1 by Nf square. So what is the RH value? RH value that we already know, that is AH. What is that? RH value is 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18 into 1 by here Ni square minus 1 by Nf square, right? So this is the energy gap that we can find out here, right? Now coming to the wavelength. So we know that by this formula, okay, by this formula E is equals to h into v. So if you can find out the frequency v here, if you can find out the frequency v here, that is nothing but E by h. So what is that E? That is nothing but delta E. That is what the value that we have got here. So delta E, how much? 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18 into 1 by ni square minus 1 by nf square, right? Divided by, what is the h value? H value is what? The Planck's constant, 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joules second, right? And this is our joules. So we will get here the wavelength V as 3.29 into 10 to the power of minus 18, then that will be minus 34. So it will become 10 to the power of 15 into 1 by ni square minus 1 by nf square per second, or we can say hertz. So this is the wavelength that we have got. Next we have the wave number. So next we have the wave number of this hydrogen spectrum. So wave number that we know that V bar is nothing but, we can write it in the form of V by C also, right? V by C. So V value is how much? Just now we have got the V value, that is 3.29 into 10 to the power of 15. So that will be 3.29 into 10 to the power of 15 into 1 by ni square minus 1 by nf square divided by C value, that is 3.0 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, and this is our per second, right? So this value will result into 1.09677, okay, into 10 to the power of 7 1 by ni square minus 1 by nf square. This is per meter, or we say, we can write, this is about the wave number of this. Okay, so now from this we can conclude that, from this we can say that, so whenever the emission, or we say the spectral lines are emitted, or the energy, right? So by all the observations, wave numbers, frequency and the energies, we can say the absorption spectrum, okay? So here absorption spectrum is nothing but when the principal quantum number of final is greater than the principal quantum number of initial, which means in this case what happens, this delta E, that is energy gap or the change in the energy, will be of positive, which means what happens, the energy, right, the energy is absorbed. అవునా, ఏమవుతుంది, NF final principal quantum number is less than the initial, means higher నుంచి ఇనీషియల్ అంటే హై అంటున్నాం కదా, గ్రేటర్ అంటున్నాం కాబట్టి హయ్యర్ లెవెల్ నుంచి లోవర్ లెవెల్కి వచ్చినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, చేంజ్ ఇన్ ఎనర్జీ విల్ బి పాజిటివ్, ద ఎనర్జీ విల్ బి అబ్జార్బ్డ్, రైట్? అండ్ సేమ్ వే ఇఫ్ యు టేక్ ది ఎమిషన్ స్పెక్ట్రమ్, so that emission spectrum will be NF is less than NI. So what happens, the change in energy will be negative, so which means the energy is emitted, so this is how the wave number and everything will be helping us to find out the or different parameters of the line spectrum of hydrogen atom. Okay, so you know that the Rydberg's equation and the equation for the wave number and the energy gap here, wave number here. This wave number is same. That is Rydberg. Rydberg's equation is equal same as the, right, that is V bar, and this is of the Bohr's V bar. What is that? So Rydberg equation that we have 10977, right? 10. So that is 109677, right, into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. This is what that we have by Rydberg. So Bohr's, what is that? So 1.09677 into 10 to the power of 7 into 1 by ni square minus 1 by nf square. So these two are equal. Here if you can see that these two cases we have got the same equation here. Avuna, two cases lo kuda manaku same equation vachindi. So by that we can say that the electrons, right, which are revolving in that orbitals, okay, they are following the, right, they are following the one discrete path which has the fixed energy. Wavelength of that wave numbers, or the in which waves that are following, these are the fixed values in both the cases. So here we can conclude this part by just looking at the how much energy is released or the absorbed or the emitted here, means the brightness of the radiation. Like let us say brightness of radiation or the light, right? So this brightness of this radiation depends on the number of photons, nothing but the electrons, number of photons, nothing but the electrons which are excited, which are absorb the energy, number of photons, right, which absorbed or emitted, right, with frequencies or the wavelengths. Wavelengths or the frequencies. Means how many number of photons are getting emitted or absorbed of different frequencies or the wavelengths. That depending on that, if these are increasing, the brightness of the radiation will also increase. So these two will affect in this manner. Okay, so these are about the line spectrum of the hydrogen. So what we have discussed the wave number, energy gaps, wavelengths, right, of this line spectrum of hydrogen atom. Next, limitations of Bohr's atomic model. Bohr's atomic model. So this Bohr, just we have discussed in the initial of this chapter lecture, that is, this was able to explain the stability of the atom, right, and it was also able to explain the ions of the other elements, Avuna? But there are few drawbacks, or there are some limitations for the structures of these atoms. First one is finer detail. Finer detail means this structure or this Bohr's atomic model could not explain the finest details of the spectrum, atomic spectra into finer details. Like there are so many lines, right? We call those lines as the doublets. We call them as the doublets. Means two or more lines, or the simply we can say as we doublets, two lines or the spectral lines, right, very close to each other or overlapping. Okay, the details could not explained by the Bohr's atomic model and other elements. This model was only able to explain the ions of other elements, right? Ions of other element, but this was not able to explain the structure of helium, right? The structure of helium he was not able to explain, which has only two electrons, only two electrons in it, which has only two electrons in it. Hydrogen atom that he was able to explain, right? That hydrogen he was able to explain, which has, right, one electron. Avuna? But this helium atom he was not able to explain, which has only two electrons, which is very minute difference between these two, right? And he was also not able to explain the Zeeman effect. Zeeman effect means what? The spectral lines, right, will get diverged, or the spectral lines of these atoms, hydrogen atom and all the other atoms, the spectral lines are getting deflected, right? So that Zeeman effect, the spectral lines are getting deflected, right, in the magnetic field. In the magnetic field, the spectral lines, right, spectral lines are diverged, okay, are diverged. That effect was could not explain by this Bohr's atomic model. And another effect, that is Stark effect. Stark effect. So Stark effect, in the electric field, these spectral lines, okay, same spectral lines, right, are splitting, nothing but diverged. So these two effects were not explained by this Bohr's atomic model. And next, how these atoms, okay, how these atoms or all the multiple atoms that we have, those are bonding together, right? Those are bonding together to form the molecules. So the molecular formation of atoms, right, by chemical reactions, like we have the chemical bonds, right, by chemical bonds, could not explain by this Bohr's model. This was could not explain. This effect was also could not explain. This was also could not explain, right? So these are the limitations of Bohr's atomic model here, okay? Next we have the example number 1. What is the wavelength of light emitted when the electrons in a hydrogen atom, okay, electrons in a hydrogen atom undergo transition from an energy level with n equals to 4 to an energy level n equals to 2. So we know that energy, change in energy delta E is equals to what, right? That is minus 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18 into 1 by Ni square minus 1 by Nf square, right? So in that change in energy that we have, but what is asking that what is the wavelength of light emitted, that is what we have to find out. So to find out the wavelength, that is what we have to find out. To find out this wavelength, what we have to find, we know the energy, we can find the energy from this equation, right? So here he given that Ni, that is the initial, Ni is 4 and Nf is 2, right? So after that we have Ni, Nf. So to find the lambda, we have the formula Nf equals to Hc by energy. Hc by energy, that is we are derived from the E equals to Hv. So by using this formula, right, we can find out this lambda. So let us first find out this E. So what is this? E is equals to minus 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18, right? What is Ni? Ni is 4 square minus Nf is 2 square, okay. So this is minus 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18, okay. So 1 by 16 minus 1 by 4. So you will get is as 0 minus 4.0875 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joules as your energy here. Okay, so after getting this energy, okay, now by using this formula, that is wavelength is equals to h into c by E. So what is this h? H is Planck's constant, 6.625626 into 10 to the power of minus 34, right? Into c value is 3.0 into 10 to the power of 8 divided by E. E value is how much? Minus 4.0875 into 10 to the power of minus 19. So the value of lambda that you will be getting it here is nothing but the 486 nanometers. Okay, so this is our wavelength for the first answer. Now the second example, Lehman series of hydrogen atom has a wavelength is given, right, and initial energy that we have to find out. So from the Lehman series that we can see that n1 value is 1 and n2 values will be 2, 3, 4 and so on, right? So here wavelength is given, wavelength is lambda is given 1.03 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meters is wavelength is given. So to find the initial energy, that we have the formula, right, by using the, or we say what is the initial energy level, right? So for that we can use the Rydberg's equation, Rydberg's wave number equation, which says that is 1.069677 into 10 to the power of 7 into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square, right? So by that formula that we can find out the n2 value. N1 value is given already. So this lambda is nothing but the wave number. So 1 by lambda, that is 1.03 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meters, okay, is equals to 1.09677 into 10 to the power of 7 into 1 by 1 square is 1 minus 1 by n2 square. Avuna? So ipudu what we are doing here, we are sending this to this side. So what will be here? This is 1 is equals to 1.09677 into 10 to the power of 7 into 1.03 into 10 to the power of minus 7, 1 minus 1 by n2 square, right? Now this plus 7, this minus 7 get cancelled. Now this 1 is equals to 1.09677 and 1.03, that will be around 1.12 into 1 minus 1 by n2 square. Just I am writing it here. Okay, so what happens, this 1.12 will multiply with both the parts. So 1 is equals to 1.12 minus 1.12 by n2 square. So now what I am doing, I am sending this to this side and I am sending this to this side. So what happens, this will be 1.12, the negative will become positive, n2 square, and this 1.12 minus 1, this plus 1 will become minus 1 here. So this is 1.12 by n2 square equals to how much? 1.12 minus 1 is 0.12, right? Now I have to find out this n2 square, right? So just simply cross multiplying it. So that will be 1.12 equals to 0.12 into n2 square. So this n2 square will be equals to, now send this to here, 1.12 divided by 0.12. Antena? So this n2 square will be equals to 9. So that n2 will be equals to 3. So the initial energy level of the hydrogen atom in a Lehman series when the wavelength lambda is 1.03 into 10 to the minus 7 is 3 here. So this is about the second example. Okay everyone. So the today's quotation is, the great aim of education is not the knowledge but the action. Means understand that whatever the education that we are getting, it is not simply the educate not to gain the knowledge. It is about the action. Means whatever the knowledge that you are gaining, you have to apply it in your life. By that, save the society, right? Educate the society or change the society, right? So that is the main aim of the education. So if you are educated, that education is not that you become the knowledgeable person, but the action, how you are living your life, how many people are, what are the changes that you are allowed, what are the changes that you are causing in the society in the best way or in the positive manner. That will be the aim of the education, not just the knowledge. Okay, so I hope you are utilizing our course of this MSET and FSET 2022, all of you. So subscribe our YouTube channel and hit on the bell icon so that you will get the notification whenever our new lectures are uploaded. Okay, all the best everybody. So our motto here, keep studying and happy learning. So keep studying slowly daily, right? And you will be happy in learning, and that is our main motto. So all of you, thank you so much for thank you so much for your support. I hope you will be having a great day, all of you. Thank you so much. See you soon.